So this is why sometimes it is good to do the same thing over and over again. The exception to that would be the first Assassin's Creed game. Do not worry about it. But of course, at the start of this week's episode of Raw, we did see everybody arriving to work or at the building. And when Rhea Ripley was here, Nia Jax went nope, and she beat the shit out of her. Now this just proves that nobody hates Rhea more than Nia, because essentially a year ago they were doing the exact same feud. I was also a bit like, why doesn't Jax care about Tiffany Stratton anymore? But don't worry, we'll get into it. Otherwise, hello my friends, my name is Simon Miller, the king of ups and downs and the king of wrestling reviews, which is not a thing. I'm an absolute moron. That just means you're about to strap yourself in and we're gonna go a wild ride and you're gonna feel the G's. Sound good? Awesome. We're just gonna take the finger of power and give the good bits enough and the bad bits are down for the latest episode of Monday Night Raw. Let's be as positive as we can. Mouth isn't working today. Let's go. Jey Uso then kicked off Raw, and this guy, he is so damn over. Now Jey was getting all pumped up before he could barely say anything. Out came Gunther, and he's offended because he was like, I don't like the way you were talking, Mr. Jey Uso. It's almost like we didn't have a conversation last week. He also called him a funny little man, which would actually be a good gimmick because you could call yourself the FLM when he was like, you're nothing but a dork, and in fact you've become so boring. You may as well be Jimmy Uso. Now really, that's not offensive, man. You look just like your twin brother, and you act like him, but Gunther, he has this magic with his mouth, which is a terrible thing to say, but for some reason, it sounded really offensive. Jey then told him not to mention his brother, but Gunther was like, this is the point, dude. You just keep running your mouth, but actually, when you do break it down, like Degeneration X, you never actually do anything about it. So ultimately, Uso loves to say he bets on himself, but then Roman Reigns turns up, or Cody Rhodes turns up, or Sami Zayn turns up, and what does Jey Uso become? A useful idiot. And I was like, well, I've actually kind of made a career out of being a useful idiot. I think it's the worst thing in the world. Also kind of sounds like what teachers used to say to me, but let's not worry about that. When Jey Uso did fire back at him, he was like, listen, you absolute moron, I do respect you, but you are gonna respect me too after Saturday night's main event, and you can call me a mascot, that's fine, but I'm their mascot. He was talking about the fans. This is when you know that Jey Uso is the most popular man ever. I was like, man, that's a terrible line. Yeah, I sat there in my seat cheering away. The man has done it. He also had one final blow because he was like, ha ha, Gunther, only one of us has main evented WrestleMania, and it's me. And apparently that was when he did cross the line because Gunther whooped his ass. Jey Uso came back and he ejected Gunther from the ring when he held that title above his head, which means he is not winning at Saturday night's main event. This was fun though, although I did sort of realise, wait a minute, this is exactly what we did with Jey Uso last year when he was feuding with Damian Priest. But listen, he will not win that championship on Saturday, but should he do it at some point in 2025 or 2026? Well, I rang the wrestling powers that be, and they agree with me, and it should be yes. So I look forward to this. When the New Day won the evening. They do this a lot. But they bumped into JBL backstage, and as he was going to be the guest commentator for their match, Kofi Kingston put $2 in his pocket and was like, you better say nice things about us. Xavier Woods was also excited because if anybody understands the Big E situation, it would be Bradshaw because you turned your back on your partner and you had the most successful run of your career. JBL went all passive aggressive. He was like, I do understand. I mean, if I was hanging out with someone as popular or as musty as Big E, I'd want to stab him in the back too. The New Day were of course sad and they did just walk off while they insulted JBL's hat. We are going to talk about this later, but just give them the flipping tag team titles already. When we learned that Bayley was just back on Raw. I mean, thank you transfer window, I suppose. She declared for the Royal Rumble, and as we talked about SmackDown ups and downs, you need to be keeping an eye on wrestlers at the moment, because apparently, as long as you have a microphone and say, I declare for the Royal Rumble, you get to go in the Royal Rumble. So if somebody does have a mic and they don't say it, you're allowed to call them a goober. She also teased taking on any champion she could, including the ones in NXT, when thankfully Nia Jax walked in. Now they are going to have a match later, but she also said, oh, I'm going to win the Rumble because I want to take out Tiffany Stratton. I was like, there it is. Genuinely, Nia, I thought you forgot. The New Day then walked out. They got booed out of the building because people don't understand them. Well, I did get a bit confused because I swear last week we said it was going to be a tag team match. And ultimately, it was Kofi Kingston versus Rey Mysterio. Now really what this comes down to is that, as I've already talked about, I am desperate for the New Day to get back into their tag title contests so they can win the tag team championships. I mean, at the end of last year, they had one of the best heel turns ever, and I'm still waiting to kind of capitalize on it, and it's all right there. And I'm sure there is a plan with this too, but yes, given what I did just say, I am going to give it a down. I just feel like we need to do more with them. However, on the flip side, it was Rey Mysterio versus Kofi Kingston. This made my life just a little bit better. I mean, it's just amazing that they're still going at it, because surely they were like both on the roster in 2008. And Rey Mysterio really hated Kofi Kingston, because he made sure he kept smashing into Simba the Steel Steps, which is when Xavier Woods panicked. Obviously, he likes RPGs, and he uses MP to cast distraction. The referee fell for it, so Kingston poked Rey Mysterio right in the eye. There are a few people when the New Day turned heel going, Kofi Kingston can't play heel. I'm sorry, you have not been following this man's career. He's hysterical. Even when Ray went for the 619, Woods just tripped him, but he did do this right in front of the referee. He was like, why'd you make my life so hard? You now have to go to the back. This is one of those weird wrestling things that does happen. Sometimes it'll be a DQ, sometimes nobody cares. That's when Kingston went for the SOS, but of course Ray had recovered. He turned it into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he did get the 1, 2, 3. He used his experience. Xavier jumped him instantly, which of course is when the rest of the LWO came out, so they're a bunch of weirdos, because they were sat backstage going, listen, we're not going to do anything unless there's a jump attack. Then somebody must have run at them and told them. Also, they made a terrible job of this, because even though the New Day left, they then stuck back in the ring. They got one last shot in. So I presume we will do the New Day versus the LWO next week, and the New Day have to win. There are some people out there who are so focused on age when it comes to professional wrestlers, and by that rhetoric, it would mean we never would have got Kofi Kingston versus Rey Mysterio, and if you saw this, you know we don't want to do that. They absolutely smashed up. We then had this super cool video reminding you that Penta is pretty damn awesome, when we cut to Chad Gable and America Made, and that dude ain't happy. However, even though he does hate all the luchadors in the world, he has come up with a plan, and he is going to get advice from Dominic Mysterio. I laughed out loud. I'm sure he'll also talk to his moustache when the rest of America Made said they will definitely win titles in 2025. That's what Chad Gable said last week. Something is happening. Karrion Kross and Scarlett also did one of these interviews, and I presume it was in the commercial of Netflix, depending on what territory you are watching. But I saw it. I tell you this, my friends, I could not believe what he said. He talked about the fact that he had defeated Uncle Howdy, so why doesn't everyone go cry about it? And when The Miz was brought up, he kind of just fobbed off like, I don't know where he is, he's on assignment. What? So that is a down, and again, I could be jumping the gun here, but it kind of sounds like someone just went, this Final Testament Karrion Kross feud, White 6 thing isn't really working, so let's just put a pin in it and hope that nobody notices. But I notice I'm a nerd. I really do like Karrion Kross as well, and given some of the names he did drop after this, I am excited. But yeah, I think you had to put a little bit of a bow on it, and now it has put the White 6 in such a strange position, so they got moved to SmackDown, and even though they have magic powers, they're just going to accept it and not get their revenge. This is a little bit of a down. However, when he was asked what he was going to do next, Kross mentioned Sami Zayn, Kross mentioned Seth Rollins, and Kross mentioned CM Punk. And he was really mad about Sami Zayn. Now listen, I think there is potential in Karrion Kross's Tootsie Toes, but we have to let him fly. So yeah, I'm going to sit down, watch this space. I would assume Sami must have heard this, because he did walk to the ring. He was like, listen, I heard what Seth Rollins said last week, and I was like, well, of course you did. He was right there talking into your face, and it's lit a fire in me. Because first things first, he is going to declare for the Royal Rumble. That's why I shouted, Karrion Kross, you're an idiot. You had a microphone and you didn't do it. And yeah, he has had a wonderful career. And actually, when you do look at it, he is in the upper echelon of WWE superstars right now. And that is a small select group. The issue is when you do go through those names, each and every single one of them has a world title to their name, but Sami Zayn doesn't. And even though he doesn't feel like he needs to win the world championship, he's always had the support of the fans. He wants to win the world title. And man, he was going so hard, I was like, man, we got to do it. But I certainly wasn't doing this. It looks like my limbs are out of control. It does mean that we have started to tease this hard, because it's been going on for a few weeks, when Kevin Owens interrupted, and I tell you, I made a noise like a goat giving birth. I was so excited. He was also wearing a Bret Hart jacket, so I screamed again. And Sami Zayn is so good. He's like, yes, I know why you're here. I've been watching the Cody Rhodes feud. You're mad that I teamed with Roman Reigns. So how are we going to do this? But because KO is the greatest professional wrestler to ever walk the earth, he was like, nah man, that's not why I'm here. So first he was annoyed about it, but actually when he thought about it, it's a completely different situation. Because Cody Rhodes never had a history with Roman Reigns, but Sami Zayn does, and that's just Sam, man. Because KO has screwed him over in the past, and what did Sami Zayn do? He forgives. That's because Sami Zayn is a nice person, and Sami Zayn is his best friend. I then walked down to the hallway and I cried. Kevin also went on here to say, dude, of course you can win the Royal Rumble, and of course you can go on to win a championship at WrestleMania. And in fact, look at it this way. When I beat Cody Rhodes at the Royal Rumble too, we can do the one thing we've never done in our careers, and that is headline WrestleMania with the WWE title on the line. I'm sorry, I think we should do it. Say whatever you want. The emotional manipulation was just around the corner, because this is when Kevin Owens was like, I'll always have your back, Sami Zayn. And I would imagine, if I ever needed your back, hint, hint, Royal Rumble, pay-per-view, PLE, I would assume you'd have my back too. This is when the camera cut to Sami Zayn. You have never seen a man more conflicted in your life. I always felt like he'd done the deal and he did walk off. Seriously, you could actually do this and pull the trigger, even though it'd be totally wild to see Sam do that. I'm not gonna lie. If we are doing CM Punk and Roman Reigns and John Cena at Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, you can make the argument that neither of them actually need the WWE title. Now that's not how WWE operates, but hey man, I'm living in fantasy booking land, let me cook. Deep down though, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania for a championship is just what I want more than anything. Well, that's not true. What I want more than anything is the return of Repo Man. But this surely is telling us that eventually Sami Zayn is gonna win a world title. And also, maybe Kevin Owens does beat Cody Rhodes. I mean, he's not, but it's fun to believe. These two are always constant gold, though, and seriously, I love this. Now, I did have some kind of hierarchy. The segments that I did enjoy the most on this Raw, it would be this one. They're just great, they're brilliant, I love them, up. Kathy came and interviewed Sheamus. He had a great coat. He was like, man, I'm doing my career backwards. Because, of course, when he debuted, he won the WWE title instantly from John Cena. Now he's going after the Intercontinental title one. There is somewhat of an irony to that as well, because that was the championship that got him into wrestling, which is why he will beat Bron Breakker at Saturday Night's main event. When Bron walked in, so he's a weirdo, he must have been right there, and he went, no, you won't, old man. I'm gonna retire you. I was like, dude, you need to calm down. So we have talked about this before. I would have Sheamus lose at the weekend, but then he comes out with the ultimate ultimatum, and he goes, listen, Bron, we're gonna do this one more time at WrestleMania, and if I lose, I am never allowed to challenge for that Intercontinental title again. Of course, he will win it, but if he did do that, it also means Sheamus could enter the Royal Rumble and kind of hint, well, I tell you I want to win the thing, because I'm gonna change the game, and I will not go after the World Championship, I will go after the Intercontinental title one. Now, of course, he won't win the Royal Rumble, but I just think as a side quest and a small story, that would be pretty good. Ultimately, though, we get Sheamus versus Bron Breakker in like 4 days. Set your clocks. When Nia Jax and Bayley had a really fun match. Roxanne Perez was watching from ringside. Seriously, she's been flying all over the place recently, so she must be stalking the show. At one point, she tried to slap Bayley, and Bayley went, no. She slapped her back. Now, of course, given where Roxy was sitting, it does mean she is a fan, so she got dragged out of there. When she was like kicking with her feet to exaggerate the situation, she booted someone in the crowd right in the face. It's not funny, it probably was a plant, but I laughed because I'm a horrible person. Nia Jax then attacked her, which is what you would do. She was probably insulted, but when she went to hit the leg drop on the ring apron, she totally missed, and I was like, well, man, she must have a broken ass now. That's the hardest part of the ring. Bayley also did her sunset flip bomb out the corner, which she loves doing to Nia, when she basically hit her own version of the Annihilator and got the big elbow for the 1-2-ooh. It's a bit like, Bells, there's a reason you can't do the Annihilator. You know what? Let's not talk about it. None of the news read the ring post to get back into this, but she was just the missing Mary today, because she went for another Annihilator. Yeah, she missed. What did you think I was going to say? When she tried once more, Bayley hit the bomb of power for another 1-2-ooh. But I swear, when Jax was on the floor, she must have taken a med pack, because she got up, she whammed Bayley, she hit the senton, she got the Samoan drop, and she is Samoan, so it's totally fine. When she hit the Annihilator, and she won. I was like, well, where the hell did that come from? It also means Bayley is having an absolutely terrible week, so she probably doesn't be doing the Royal Rumble, but she's not. And instantly, Rhea Ripley came out to whoop Nia Jax's ass. and the wrestling security tried to stop them, but you know the deal with wrestling security. They're useless. So instead, Rhea basically dove off out of the announce table to take everybody out when she got on the microphone and she went, Saturday night's main event, it's you versus me. So that's what we're gonna do. Now I am gonna be a nerd once more, and look, it's an up for the match. Anytime Rhea Ripley is on screen, kicking somebody's ass, it is really good. But I did just have a tinge of disappointment because I was like, man, we have rushed this Nia Jax thing so much. We talked about it earlier. This is basically the exact same thing we did 12 months ago. You also have the issue that Nia just lost her belt to Tiffany Stratton. And within 2 weeks, just turned up on another show and went, I'd like a title shot, please. And she got one. Now, it's not a big deal, and I'll enjoy the match on the evening. But I just think Rhea Ripley has such star power, you want to get her into the deep, gritty feuds as quickly as you possibly can, especially because when it does come to story stuff, that's when I think Rhea shines the most. So I am going to give it a down, and I do understand that you do have this show just before the Royal Rumble, so you got to do something. And again, they'll absolutely do fine. But that's just how I feel. Chad Gable and his friends then walked into the Judgment Day Clubhouse. Honestly, no one in any situation has ever been so unwelcome. Dominic Mysterio did not want to help him at first either, when he changed his mind and he gave a piece of paper to Chad and essentially said, this person can help you out. Now, I did go and do some investigating and I found the piece of paper and I shall reveal it to you now. So, I've got it just here. I'll get close to the camera so I can reveal it to you. Dun, dun, dun. That's right. Grandma Betty is either going to help or take on Chad Gable. I don't know what this is. Now, of course, a few people have said maybe it's Malachi Black returning as Aleister Black, but this is going to be super duper interesting. But also, I'm pretty sure WWE has signed a few people recently. We shall have to wait and see. That's a pretty good tease. The rest of the Judgment Day hated this though, but Mysterio said, no man, it's good that people owe us favors. When JD McDonough had a meltdown, they're meant to be having a tag team title rematch next week, but Finn Balor is injured. Of course, Dom Dom stepped up and Liv Morgan was all like, oh man, that'll be a great idea, but you could see it in JD's face, he knows this is a bad idea. When, once again, Liv Morgan, just passively aggressive, wrecked the condom, and he doesn't understand their relationship in trouble. He's about to learn a valuable lesson. We then got a video for Lyra Valkyria and her big Intercontinental title win last week. I did think it was a bit disappointing she wasn't actually on the show. When Sami Zayn found Seth Rollins. He didn't find him, he was just hanging out in the corridor. Seth was super happy though that his words had hit home 7 days ago when he went, I also don't care, because if you're on the Royal Rumble and I have to throw you out, I will. I was like, what an asshole. When Pete Dunne and Penta just tore it up. Bless Peter as well, because he cut a promo beforehand when he was like, man, no one ever puts me on the show. I don't get my due. When the screen just went to black, we cut him off. We've also added the Penta's entrance as well. And if we keep doing this, eventually it's just going to be a ball of fire. But honestly, you should find 10 minutes today to watch this. It's just a barrel of laughs. I mean, Penta booted Pete Dunne in the air at one point, so when Penta went to do a dive, Pete just punched him right in the face. When we got DDTs and sentons and sing-blades, we were getting 1-2 oohs all over the shop. Penta also kept going Zero Miedo, because he's obsessed with doing taunts. He was hitting that D-pad when he hit the Mexican Destroyer, which surely is part of his arse. This is also when I revealed a brand new counter, which is that I got hit with a big move, but I will roll out the ring counter, which rolls off the tongue. But I have been saying this for weeks. It's wrestling's brand new favorite thing. When you want a maneuver to get over, but you don't want a 1-2 ooh, now the opponent just rolls out of the ring, and that's exactly what Peter Dunne did. What? Now it sort of worked because Pete was able to snap the fingers, but that's when Penta was, oh, you want to get into that game, and he hit the sacrifice, which is essentially the cross arm breaker. Penta driver, 1, 2, 3. He is now 2-0. So this was fun. I've no idea what really happened to the Butch storyline with R-Truth, but if this is going to be a replacement, I ain't going to get mad at it. And I am super intrigued to see what we do with Penta. Also, apparently he is selling merchandise like nobody's business. This is going to be an enjoyable ride. CM Punk was here next. I think we all have to agree he's very good at the pro wrestling. Now, Kathy Kelly was on troll duty here. She was like, Punk, you're in the Rumble, but so is everybody else. And CM heard this. He was like, oh yeah, but they're not me, and I am me, so I'm gonna win. Because right now he is the history maker, because he did make history when he main evented the first Raw on Netflix, and he's gonna make history when he wins the Royal Rumble. And I was like, well, technically we're all history makers in our own lives. For example, I woke up this morning and I smacked my head on a bookshelf. Kind of feel like we're in the same lane. He also tore through the field, because it doesn't matter if it is Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, John Cena, or anybody, he is going to win that thing. And it even said Hulk Hogan can enter the Rumble and I will throw his dusty ass out and kill WrestleMania. Listen, but if CM Punk could do that, well, I don't think many of us would be mad. He also teased the Paul Heyman stuff because he said maybe I should even call in a favor or two. And look, Punk was my favorite to win the Royal Rumble and he was so amped up here. If he doesn't win, well, he's gonna have to get screwed over bad. So it is just an up because again, he was on fire here like he was playing NBA Jam. At this point, you have to say his second run in WWE has fallen into that like iconic territory when somebody does return. I mean, it's just hitting on all cylinders. The War Raiders then said in an interview they want to bring the Prestige back to the tag team titles and defend them more than the Judgment Day did. Just gonna leave that one out there in the ether. A very interesting point. It was then time for the PCF versus Damage Control. And now that we have shortened that name, this did sound like two pest companies fighting. It was kind of short, but I guess it didn't need to go too long. And all you need to do today is go to social media and look at the springboard dropkick that Zoe Stark gave Dakota Kai. If it turns out that Dakota Kai has been knocked into the Phantom Zone, I will not be surprised, good grief. The Pure Fusion Collective, which is not a name that WWE is using anymore as we desperately tried to move away from it, then just absolutely destroyed Dakota. And this is so she could get the hot tag to Io Sky, who did run wild, because that's what we can break this down to. I think Io is in for a big 2025. So we had to put her over and put her over hard. Because she hit all the dives, a big old German suplex, and she dropkicked Zoe right in the face. And I was like, I know revenge when I see it. Sonya Deville was on the outside, so she cast distraction, but Dakota Kai then took out her, but then Shayna Baszler was doing stuff. And at one point, it did look like the PCF was going to use this to their advantage, but of course they won't. So Io Sky wiggled and jiggled out of the Kirifuda clutch. She basically hit the moonsault instantly. 1, 2, 3. So this is the major reason why I did like this. I think at the very least, Io Sky will win the Elimination Chamber and probably does take on Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. Now, if she's not going to win the Royal Rumble, you do want to plant seeds all over the place. And that's what this felt like to me, and it's absolutely what we should do. She's very, very talented. I genuinely hope that Dakota Kai is okay. Also, I have no idea what we are going to do with the PFC. I mean, they deserve more too. I don't know. I booked the show. We then got this big video for Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre because it was our main event. And damn it, this was a WrestleMania rematch. If you were watching on non-USA Netflix too, you will have enjoyed the fact that we played Seth Rollins' song for around about 472 hours. But mostly when the bell went ding, 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 they just absolutely kicked ass. McIntyre was so mad that Seth decided to do multiple dives. He grabbed him on the last one and just threw him into Alan the announce table. When he got back in the ring, he went for the Alabama slam. Seth reversed it into the most devastating move. In all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. And while it was too early here, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, it wasn't going to be too early later. Apparently there were no rules, because McIntyre then went in to re-hit the ring post over and over again. When Seth Rollins used all of his magic powers, he was hitting sentons and he hit the superplex. Although when he went for the Falcon Arrow, Drew McIntyre decided he would hit this bird weapon instead. That's what he did. He then tried for the Claymore, but he totally missed. This one, it turned out Seth does not let something die, because he did get the Falcon Arrow when he applied a crossface. When McIntyre got to the ropes to escape it, Rollins was so mad he started screaming at Drew. So Drew went, all right, and he poked him right in the eye. I laughed. It also allowed him to get the future shock, and at this point, Seth Rollins was just a dead man. This is when McIntyre clotheslined him and clotheslined him and clotheslined him. But the problem with the Scottish Warrior, dare I say it, is he's a little bit too arrogant right now. That meant when Rollins was on the floor, he was secretly able to take his Phoenix down, and just when Drew was going to finish him off, it was Seth who hit the most devastating move. In all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he did get the 1, 2, 3. Damn it, he stole one. Now, I do understand that was two on the same show, but listen, WWE has been more reserved with these recently, so you can get away with it. And as soon as McIntyre got up, oh my gosh, he was pissed, and he smashed Seth Rollins right in the face. He was also going to crush his face into the steel, but we will never know because Sami Zayn came out to make the save. I say save in inverted commas, because eventually they all got back into the ring, and Sam was going to hit Drew McIntyre with the haluva kick. Drew got out of the way, and that's right, for the 42nd time, Sami Zayn accidentally hit Seth Rollins instead, and Seth was not happy, obviously. McIntyre also thought this was the funniest thing ever, and honestly, that's why it doesn't matter that he lost here. He was so jovial, and he was so pleased with himself. Well, somehow it felt like a victory. Zayn also desperately tried to explain himself to Rollins, but do not forget what Seth said to him earlier. So this does tie into the Royal Rumble, because maybe Rollins will be like, well, it is every man for himself. This is also surely tying the seeds for things we are going to do at WrestleMania, and honestly, I could watch Drew and Seth fight forever, or for the allocated time they are given on a wrestling TV show, but I am giving it an up. The Rumble is coming. So overall, I did think it was a very good Raw. Again, you can tell we need to get through Saturday night's main event before we hit the Royal Rumble big, but that's okay, because we do have some serious matches on that show. I'm intrigued to see what Drew does as well. You have to imagine a couple of losses is building to something up. Now, of course, please do leave me a comment and let me know what you thought about the third Netflix Raw. I believe that's right. Also, click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for SmackDown. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, and just have a terrific day. That's what I want from you. See you soon.